The rain hammered against the penthouse windows like fists demanding entry. But inside, Emily's small hand slipped from mine as she bolted toward the door. "Daddy's home!" she shrieked, her pigtails whipping like flags in a storm, oblivious to the thunderclap that rattled the Manhattan skyline. I froze on the living room rug, heart slamming against my ribs, because in that split second, as her eyes lit up with a joy I'd only coaxed out of her in whispers, she wasn't looking at the empty hallway. She was looking at me. I'd been babysitting for 3 weeks, paid in crisp 20s and curt nods from her father, Daniel Hargrove, the man whose shadow loomed larger than the skyscrapers outside. He was a ghost in his own home. Tailored suits, clipped phone calls, eyes that skimmed over me like I was furniture. But Emily? She was a wildfire. 6 years old and fierce. Her world cracked open by the absence of the mother cancer had stolen 2 winters ago. I'd come here chasing rent money and a quiet escape from my own fractured life in Brooklyn. Divorced parents. A string of half-hearted dates that fizzled like cheap fireworks. But nothing prepared me for the way her sticky fingers curled around mine that first night, or how, in the dim glow of her nightlight shaped like a crescent moon, she'd murmured, "You remind me of him. Before. The word hung in the air like smoke as Daniel's key turned in the lock, the door swinging open to reveal him. Drenched overcoat slung over one arm, tie loosened just enough to hint at the exhaustion etched into his jawline. Water pooled at his feet on the marble floor, but his gaze, steel gray and unyielding, locked straight onto Emily, then flicked to me, standing there with her backpack still slung over my shoulder, feeling like an intruder in a scene I hadn't auditioned for. "Lucas," he said, voice flat as the East River on a windless day. "You're still here." It wasn't a question, but Emily answered for me, launching herself at his legs with a squeal that pierced the tension. Lucas made mac and cheese with the funny shapes, and he read me the book about the fox who finds his way home. Daniel's hand hovered for a beat too long before descending to ruffle her hair, his expression unchanging, but I caught it, the flicker in his eyes, a crack in the ice. I mumbled something about traffic on the FDR, grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door, and slipped out into the downpour, the word, "Daddy," echoing in my skull like a promise I hadn't earned. That night, as I trudged back to my shoebox apartment in Bed-Stuy, the subway rattling beneath me like a confession, I replayed it all. The way Emily's laughter had filled the sterile silence of that high-rise tomb, the photos on the mantel of a younger Daniel cradling a newborn Emily, his arm around a woman whose smile radiated the kind of warmth he seemed to have buried with her. Sarah Hargrove. I'd Googled her on a slow shift at the coffee shop, piecing together the obituary fragments. Ovarian cancer, diagnosed too late, gone at 34. Daniel had been 32 then, thrust into single fatherhood amid boardrooms and billable hours as a corporate litigator at one of those Wall Street firms that devoured souls for breakfast. Me, Lucas Riley, 25, fresh out of NYU with a film studies degree gathering dust, bouncing between freelance gigs and this babysitting side hustle from a flyer in the laundromat. Gay, out to my ragtag chosen family but not broadcasting it in a city that still felt like it was sizing me up. I'd taken the job because Emily's ad promised flexible hours, competitive pay, but mostly because her photo, a gap-toothed grin in a yellow raincoat, tugged at something raw in me, a reminder of the kid I'd been, shuttling between my mom's diner shifts and my dad's weekend custody battles. By week 2, our routine had settled into a fragile rhythm. I'd arrive at 5, post-nap Emily greeting me with a crayon masterpiece clutched in her fist. "For you, Lukey." We'd tackle homework at the kitchen island, her printing letters that looped like vines, then dinner experiments that left the counters dusted in flour. Daniel's fridge was a monument to efficiency. Pre-portioned meals from some meal kit service, almond milk that never spoiled. But Emily craved chaos, so I'd smuggle in ingredients for sloppy joes or no-bake cookies, her giggles a rebellion against the quiet. One evening, as we finger-painted at the coffee table, turquoise skies bleeding into purple oceans, Emily's brush stilled. "Mommy used to do this with me," she said, voice small as a pebble. I set my palette down, wiping a smudge of cobalt from her cheek. "What was she like?" I asked, because kids deserve the truth wrapped in gentleness. Her eyes, the same stormy gray as her father's, sparkled with memory. She laughed like bells, and she said I was her little shooting star. A pause, then softer. Daddy doesn't laugh anymore. He says it's because of the bad dreams. My chest tightened. I'd heard the murmurs through the walls on late nights. Daniel pacing his study, glass clinking against wood. Insomnia, the sitter before me had whispered during handover. Nights haunted by what-ifs. That was the night I first lingered after Emily's bedtime story, tucking her unicorn quilt around her shoulders as she yawned. Stay forever, Lukey? I kissed her forehead, whispering, as long as you need me, kiddo. Downstairs, Daniel was at the bar cart, pouring bourbon neat, his shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded from gym sessions that screamed control. He glanced up, surprise etching his features for the first time. She asleep, out like a light. We conquered the dragon in Chapter 3. I hesitated in the doorway, the city lights fracturing through the rain-streaked glass like a mosaic of unspoken things. She's incredible, you know, full of stories. He nodded, swirling the amber liquid, but his eyes, those eyes that had dismissed me so efficiently, held mine a beat longer. Sarah used to say that Emily's imagination could rewrite the world. His voice cracked, just a hair, and in that fracture, I saw the man beneath the armor. Broad shoulders slumped, a jaw clenched against the tide. Thanks for this, for not treating her like a chore. It's not, I said, surprising myself with the steadiness. She's easy to love. The words hung there, simple as that, but they shifted something in the air, a current pulling us closer. He offered me a drink, my first in that house, and we talked haltingly about nothing and everything. The Mets' latest collapse, the best hole-in-the-wall taqueria in the village. By the time I left, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and for the first time, Daniel walked me to the door, his hand brushing mine as he handed back my scarf. Accidental, maybe, but the spark, that was real. Weeks blurred into a tapestry of small intimacies. Emily's school play, her as a wobbly tree in the giving tree, and Daniel's rare half-day off. The three of us crammed into a cab to Central Park, where she chased pigeons and we shared a bench, knees inches apart, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot like whispered secrets. He'd loosen up around her, hoisting her onto his shoulders with a grin that transformed his face. But with me, it was tentative. Questions about my films, my family, probes wrapped in casualness. Why babysitting? With your degree, you could be directing indies by now. I shrugged, kicking a pebble into the lake. Waiting for the right story, something worth telling. Our eyes met, and there it was again, that pull, magnetic and terrifying. I was falling for him, the widower with walls higher than the Empire State, and worse, I was falling for the family he was piecing back together, one bedtime story at a time. But cracks formed. Daniel's ex. Not Sarah, but the man who'd come after. A fleeting thing named Ryan who'd bolted when fatherhood's demands clashed with his nomadic artist dreams. Resurfaced via a late-night call I overheard while Emily bathed. You think you can just waltz back in? After ghosting us for a gallery opening in Berlin. Daniel's voice was thunder, restrained but lethal. He hung up, slamming the receiver, and when he emerged, eyes red-rimmed, I pretended not to notice, but Emily did. Is Uncle Ryan coming to play? She asked, bubbles clinging to her chin. No, sweetheart. Not this time. Daniel's smile was brittle, and later, as I read her goodnight moon, she clung tighter, whispering, Don't let him go away like Mommy. I didn't sleep that night, the what-ifs churning like the Hudson at high tide. Was I just the placeholder? The warm body filling the void until someone shinier came along? But the next morning, Daniel texted, First time ever. Coffee? My treat. Pick up Emily's script on the way. It was an olive branch and I grasped it, meeting him at a corner cafe in Midtown, steam rising from our mugs like unspoken confessions. You're good with her, he said, stirring sugar into black coffee, his knee brushing mine under the table. Better than I deserve. Bullshit, I replied, the words slipping out American blunt. You're her world, Daniel. She talks about you like you're Superman. He laughed then, a real one, low and rumbling, and the sound unlocked something in me. We talked for hours, the city buzzing outside. His law school days at Columbia, the night Sarah proposed to him under the Brooklyn Bridge, the terror of holding Emily in the NICU. And me. My mom's Irish lilt fading into diner grease, my dad's barstool philosophy, the first boy who'd kissed me behind the bleachers at prom, only to deny it Monday morning. "You're brave," he said softly, as the barista called last call. Out and unapologetic in a world that still chews us up. Not always, I admitted. But for the right people? Yeah. Our hands touched across the table, deliberate this time, and neither pulled away. Winter crept in like an uninvited guest, frosting the windows of Daniel's Upper East Side airy with delicate filigree that Emily traced into hearts each morning. Our evenings evolved, me arriving earlier, Daniel lingering later, the three of us tangled in a web of domesticity that felt borrowed but blissful. Holiday lights twinkled from the balcony, casting golden halos on Emily's first snowfall snowman. A lopsided affair with Carrot Nose Askew, and Daniel's rare vulnerability shone through, like when he taught her to ice skate at Rockefeller Center, his arms steady around her waist as she wobbled on blades too big for her feet. "Look, Lukey, I'm flying," she crowed, and I captured it on my phone. The video a keepsake of joy unscripted. Daniel caught me watching the playback later, over mulled wine by the fire. His first concession to festivity, and his fingers brushed mine as he leaned in. "Send me that," he murmured, breath warm against my ear. That night, after Emily's sugar-plum dreams claimed her, he kissed me. Slow, tentative, in the shadowed hallway. Lips tasting of cinnamon and longing, hands framing my face like I was fragile art. "I've wanted this," he whispered, forehead to mine, "since the mac and cheese." "Me too," I breathed, the admission a dam breaking. We didn't rush. Nothing heated, just the quiet unraveling of guards lowered. Talk stretched into dawn. His grief's jagged edges, how Sarah's illness had stripped him bare, leaving a man who armored himself in casework and closed doors. My own scars, the ex who'd called me too emotional, before vanishing into Silicon Valley promises, mirrored his, two souls navigating the minefield of love post-loss. Emily sensed the shift, her intuition sharper than a winter wind. "Are you and Daddy friends now? Like best friends?" she asked one afternoon, as we strung popcorn garlands for the tree, kernels scattering like confetti. I chuckled, threading the needle. "Something like that, Starlight." Her grin was conspiratorial, and that evening, she gifted us matching knit scarves from school crafts. Red for him, blue for me, declaring, "So you match when you walk me to school." Daniel's eyes softened over her head, meeting mine with a promise unspoken, but shadows loomed. His firm ramped up for a merger, nights bleeding into mornings, his temper fraying like old rope. I'd find him at the island at 2 a.m., briefs scattered, Emily's drawings pinned to the fridge like talismans. "You can't keep this up," I'd say, brewing tea instead of his bourbon. "She needs you whole." "I know," he'd growl, rubbing temples shadowed by fatigue. "But if I slip, we lose everything, the apartment, the trust fund Sarah left." The pressure was a vice, squeezing the warmth we'd kindled. And then Ryan reappeared, not as a specter but flesh. A polished Instagram life crashing into ours via a custody inquiry from his lawyer. Shared parenting. The email read, forwarded in Daniel's late-night rage. "He thinks he can play house now, after 2 years of radio silence?" I held him that night on the couch, his head on my chest, the city a distant hum. "You're not alone," I whispered, fingers carding through his dark hair. "We'll fight this together." But doubt gnawed. Was I enough? A barista/sitter with student loans, against Ryan's gallery-backed facade? Spring thawed the ice, blooming cherry blossoms along the high line where we'd walk Sundays. Emily between us, her hand in mine, then his, a chain unbroken. Our love deepened in stolen moments. Lazy brunches at Sarabeth's, where he'd steal my bacon with a wink. Quiet drives upstate, windows down, his hand on my thigh as Emily napped in the back. "I love you," he said first, on a rainy April evening. Rain sheeting the glass as Emily colored at our feet. The words landed soft as petals, and I echoed them, sealing us in a kiss that tasted of forever. But love, American style, comes with footnotes. Daniel's merger hit turbulence. A whistleblower leak tying the firm to shady offshore deals. And suddenly, headlines screamed his name. Hargrove and Associates under FBI scrutiny. Reporters camped outside the building, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. Emily came home from school in tears. Classmates' whispers branding her, the bad lawyer's kid. "Are we moving away?" She sobbed into my shirt, and I rocked her, murmuring nonsense about rainbows after storms, while Daniel barricaded himself in his study, phone glued to his ear. The betrayal came swift as a subpoena. Ryan, ever the opportunist, leaked to the press. A concerned ex spinning tales of Daniel's instability, painting him as neglectful, unstable, unfit. It was a knife twist. Not just professional ruin, but personal evisceration, dredging up Sarah's death as ammunition. He couldn't save his wife, the tabloids crowed. Now he's failing his daughter. I saw the toll in Daniel's hollow cheeks, the way he'd flinch at Emily's hugs, convinced he was poison. One night, after a brutal deposition, he shattered. "I can't do this, Lucas. I can't drag you into the wreckage." We were in the kitchen, Emily asleep upstairs, the clock ticking like a bomb. His eyes, once my anchor, were wild, defeated. "Ryan's right. I'm broken. Sell the place, start over somewhere he can't touch us. But you deserve better than this circus." "Don't," I pleaded, grabbing his wrists, feeling the pulse thunder beneath my thumbs. "We're in this, me, you, her. Family." But he pulled away, the chasm widening. "Family? I'm a liability. And you? God, Lucas, you're the first good thing since Sarah, and I'm ruining it." The argument escalated. Words flung like shrapnel. My naivety, his cowardice. He accused me of clinging to a fairy tale. I hurled back that he was letting ghosts dictate his life. Doors slammed. I stormed out into the muggy night, hailing a cab to Brooklyn, tears blurring the bridges. My phone buzzed. Emily's contact. A photo of her gap-toothed smile. "Miss you, Lukey. Come home?" "Home." The word gutted me. Days blurred into a standoff. Daniel's texts were sporadic. Firms suspending me. Ryan dropped the custody bid, too much heat. I replied in monosyllables, pride warring with ache. Emily bridged the gap, her voicemails a lifeline. "Daddy's sad. He misses his best friend." I caved on Friday, arriving with pizza and her favorite DVD. Finding Daniel at the table, papers strewn, Emily curled in his lap like a shield. She lit up, tackling me with a hug that smelled of crayons and hope. "You came." As we ate, the tension simmered, but her chatter filled the voids, school plays, playground dramas. Bedtime came, and as I tucked her in, she clutched my hand, eyes solemn. "Promise you'll stay? Like a real daddy?" The word hit like lightning, raw and revelatory. I glanced at Daniel in the doorway, his face a mask cracking. "Oh, Bug," I whispered, throat tight. "I'm here as long as you'll have me." She yawned, drifting off, and in the hall, Daniel pulled me close, apology in his exhale. "She called you." "God, Lucas. I didn't see it." "See what?" I asked, though I knew. "How you've become her anchor." Ours. His kiss was desperate, a plea and a prayer, and we clung there, the storm outside mirroring the one within. Summer scorched the city, humidity clinging like regret, but in Daniel's apartment. Our apartment now, with my toothbrush in the cup and scripts scattered on the nightstand. Cool air hummed from vents, a sanctuary amid the blaze. The FBI probe dragged, depositions a gauntlet of fluorescent-lit interrogations, but Daniel fought with the ferocity of a cornered wolf, his legal mind dissecting the lies until the whistleblower's claims crumbled like stale bread. Cleared, his lawyer texted one sweltering July afternoon, and we celebrated on the balcony. Lemonade for Emily, craft beers for us, her sprinkler soaking the tiles as she danced in rainbows. "You're free," I said, clinking bottles, the skyline a jagged crown under bruised clouds. Not free, he replied, arm around my waist, Emily's laughter our soundtrack. Redeemed. Because of you. Ryan slunk back to his canvases, tail between legs, and the tabloids pivoted to fresher scandals. Life exhaled, tentative blooms pushing through concrete. We built rituals. Farmers market Sundays in Union Square, Emily haggling over strawberries with coin purse clutched. Movie nights in Fort Greene, my hand in Daniel's under the blanket as Emily dozed on his shoulder. Love, in its quiet American iteration, was these threads. The way he'd surprise me with tickets to an indie screening at IFC, whispering plot theories in the dark. How I'd wake to Emily's drawings taped to my laptop, stick figure us under a sun labeled happy. But scars linger, suppurating if ignored. Daniel's trust, once a fortress, now a garden with thorns. Late one August night, post-merger victory party he'd skipped for us, he confessed over ice cream. Emily's mint chip melting on her chin. I keep waiting for the other shoe. Like with Ryan. He swore forever, then bailed when Emily's fevers turned to hospital stays. I set my spoon down, the booth's vinyl sticky under elbows. I'm not Ryan, and you're not the man who couldn't save Sarah. You're the one raising a girl who's kinder than most adults I know. Emily piped up, oblivious. Lukey's my hero. He fixes the TV with magic words. We laughed, but his eyes held storms. The high tide of our harmony crested in September, Emily's first grade milestone. Open house at her progressive school in Chelsea, rainbow flags fluttering like banners of acceptance. Daniel and I walked in hand, first public outing, his palms sweaty but sure. Emily tugging us to her desk adorned with clay models of families. 2 dads, a daughter, a menagerie of pets. That's us, she beamed, and parents nodded. Inclusive smiles masking the world's undercurrent judgments. But as we mingled, craft punch in plastic cups. Daniel's colleagues sidled up, slurring congratulations on the new arrangement. The word landed like gravel, and later, in the cab home, he withdrew, staring out at rain-slicked streets. It's nothing, I said, but he shook his head. Everything. We're a headline waiting to happen. What if this blows up your career? Your films, authentic stories, you said. Not tabloid fodder. Daniel. No. I love you too much to risk it. The cab pulled up, Emily dozing against me, and he carried her inside, leaving me to follow in silence. That night, the bed yawned between us, a chasm of unspoken fears. Fall foliage painted Central Park in fire, but our spark flickered. Daniel buried in pro bono cases, defending queer kids in foster limbo, channeling pain into purpose, while I pitched scripts to indifferent agents, rejection emails piling like autumn leaves. Emily, our barometer, grew quieter, her drawings darkening. Storm clouds over stick families. Why's Daddy grumpy? She'd ask, crayon hovering. He's just tired, bug. But lies corrode, and one crisp October evening, after I'd bailed on a networking mixer to cook chili, our comfort food, the pot bubbled unattended as shouts echoed from the study. You're suffocating me. Daniel's voice, raw. I crept closer, heart hammering. And you're running scared. Mine sharper than intended. Emily peeked from her room, eyes wide, and guilt knifed me. He emerged, face ashen. I got an offer, partner track in DC. Fresh start, away from the vultures. DC, the word echoed hollow. What about us? Emily's school, my additions. Think about it. Stability, no more scandals. His plea was velvet over steel, but I saw the escape hatch. You're trading one cage for another, because loving me terrifies you more than losing everything. Words flew, his selfishness, my idealism, until Emily's cry pierced. Stop fighting, please. We froze, her in pajamas, tears carving paths down freckled cheeks. Daniel scooped her up, murmuring apologies, and I retreated to the guest room, the doors click a guillotine. Dawn brought olive branches. Emily's pancakes, lopsided and syrup-drenched, served on trays to our beds. Family meeting, she declared, bossing us to the table. Her innocence disarmed, and as she chattered about Halloween costumes, superheroes, all we listened, hands inching across the wood until fingers laced. "We stay together," she said firmly, as if law. Daniel's eyes met mine, glistening. "Yeah, Star, we do." Reconciliation was slow burn. Therapy sessions in a sunlit office off Park Avenue, where Daniel unpacked widowhood's ghosts, I my abandonment echoes. We emerged raw but resilient, planning a road trip, Amtrak to Philly for cheesesteaks, then DC scouting, not fleeing. Emily thrived, her school play casting her as the brave orphan finding home. And on opening night, Daniel's arm around my shoulders felt like vow. Yet betrayal's shadow lengthened. November elections loomed, rhetoric hardening against alternative families, and Daniel's firm, despite clearance, faced client pullouts, whispers of optics. He doubled down on cases, nights away, our bed cold. I filled voids with open mics, reciting monologues about found families, applause hollow without his gaze from the back row. The fracture widened over Thanksgiving. My mom's invite to Queens, his insistence on low-key at home. Traditions matter, I argued, turkey basting in the oven as Emily helped mash potatoes. Whose traditions? Mine died with Sarah. His tone iced over, and the meal soured, forks clinking like accusations. Emily escaped to cartoons, leaving us to simmer. "You're punishing me for loving differently?" I said, clearing plates. "No, punishing myself for failing again." He stormed out for a walk, returning with pie from the corner bakery, truce in crust. But the seed of doubt sprouted. Winter's grip tightened, holidays a gauntlet. Emily's wish list, a brother or sister, or just more Lukey time. We laughed it off, but Daniel's silence screamed volumes. New Year's Eve, fireworks bursting over the East River. He pulled me to the balcony, champagne flutes clinking. "Marry me," not a ring, just words, raw and real. My yes was a sob, but dawn brought reality. His firm's ultimatum, relocate to DC or lateral out. "It's the dream," he said, packing files. "For her future. And mine," Emily wailed as I explained the visit. Her arms a vice around my neck. Daniel promised weekends, but eyes betrayed the lie. The betrayal crystallized in a forwarded email. Ryan, back in the fringes, tipping off a blogger about our sham engagement, twisting therapy notes into scandal fodder. Widowers rebound. Is the babysitter the new mommy? The piece went viral, trolls swarming socials, Emily's school fielding calls. Daniel's rage turned inward. "I should have known. We're toxic." He withdrew the proposal, citing timing. And I packed a bag, heart splintered. Exile in Brooklyn was a bitter pill. My apartment a tomb of unpacked boxes and flickering screens. January's chill seeped through cracks, mirroring the void where Daniel and Emily had been. Texts from him were logistical, pickup schedules, now formal as custody papers, while Emily's were crayon-scanned pleas. "Draw at our family. Come back?" I traced the lines, stick me with hard eyes, and ache. Freelance dried up. Additions demanded smiles I couldn't muster. Nights, I'd wander the promenade, Manhattan's lights mocking across the water, replaying our unraveling. Was it the scandal? Or deeper, the fear that I'd become the interloper, filling spaces not mine to claim? Therapy solo now, my counselor's words a lifeline. Love isn't possession, Lucas. It's choice daily. Choice. I chose to fight. February's Valentine's. I showed up unannounced. Roses for him, chocolates for her. Finding the doorman wary, buzzed up to a door cracked open, Emily's sobs spilling out. Inside, chaos. Toys strewn, Daniel on the floor, her curled in his lap, his face a ruin of stubble and defeat. "Lukey!" She flew to me, burying in my coat, and Daniel rose, eyes hollow. "What are you?" "Here to stay. If you'll have me." Emily tugged us to the couch, forcing a circle, her small hand bridging ours. "No more sad. Promise." We talked, really talked. For hours, coffee going cold. Daniel confessed the firm's pressure cooker, The bloggers hit, forcing his hand. I thought distance protected you, but it gutted us. Ryan's shadow? A smokescreen for his terror of repeating loss. Sarah begged me to live fully after. I failed her. Failing you. No failure, I said, thumb tracing his knuckles. Just human. Emily nodded sagely. Like in the story. The fox finds his way home because he asks for help. The mend was meticulous. Joint therapy, boundaries drawn like battle lines against external noise. Daniel turned down DC, negotiating remote hybrid, his voice steady in board calls. My family is here. We lawyered up against the blogger, defamation suit swift, settlement silencing the slurs. Emily's school rallied, a pride assembly where she presented on My Two Dads, Heroes of Heart. Spring renewal hit hard, cherry blossoms defiant, our balcony garden, pots of basil and mint, thriving under Emily's watering can. Dates rekindled, picnics in Prospect Park, Daniel's head on my lap as kites soared. Open mic where I debuted a short about a boy and his fox, dedicated to the stars who guided me home, his applause the loudest. But climax brewed in summer's heatwave, July 4th weekend. Daniel's firm gala, black tie, schmoozers in tuxes, a minefield post-scandal. One night, he promised, tie askew as I straightened it. For optics. Emily stayed with my mom. Her have fun, dads, a talisman. The ballroom glittered, chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold, but whispers slithered. That's the one from the headlines. Daniel stiffened beside me, hand possessive on my back, but as speeches droned, his mentor, silver-haired viper named Caldwell, cornered us, Scotch breath hot. Bold move, Hargrove, parading the help. Clients are skittish. Queers in the C-suite? Risky bet. Daniel's jaw ticked. My personal life's not your portfolio. But Caldwell smirked, dropping the bomb. That blogger? My tip. Friendly advice, clean house, or the partnership evaporates. Betrayal, corporate edition. The man who'd mentored Daniel through grief now weaponizing it for ladder climbing. We fled to the terrace, city fireworks blooming premature, Daniel's fists white on the railing. All of it the probe, Ryan, this? Strings pulled to break me. Rage and hurt collided. I pulled him close, his body shuddering against mine. Then we cut them. Resign. Build something ours. Fireworks cracked, illuminating tears on his cheeks. First I'd seen. I can't lose you, either of you. You won't. The kiss amid explosions was vow renewed, salt and spark. Fallout was swift. Daniel tendered notice, citing ethical misalignment. The firm scrambling to retain. We pivoted, him launching a boutique firm focused on family law for LGBTQ+ clients. Me selling my first script to a streaming indie. A tale of mending hearts in the concrete jungle. Emily's pride swelled. Her report card glowing, playground tales of my dad's adventures, drawing envious sighs. Thanksgiving reclaimed. My mom's table in Queens, extended kin toasting to chosen families. Daniel's hand in mine under lace cloth. Holidays hummed, Hanukkah candles for his Jewish roots, Christmas tree topped by Emily's star. Our rings simple bands exchanged in a quiet ceremony at City Hall. Witnesses our therapist and a barista buddy. Yet humanity's arc bends toward light through shadow. Emily's 7th birthday, a park picnic under azure skies, brought the deepest cut and heel. She'd asked for a surprise, and we'd planned a puppy, a scruffy mutt from the shelter, named Luna after her nightlight. But as we unveiled the crate, her face crumpled. I wanted a baby brother. The silence stretched, balloon animals wilting in heat. Daniel and I exchanged glances. Talks of fostering whispered late nights, but fears loomed. His past losses, my youth's uncertainties. Oh, sweet girl. I knelt. Families come in all shapes, like us. She nodded, petting Luna's ears, but later, in the quiet of dusk, she confessed to Daniel, I miss mommy, and sometimes I pretend Lukey's her. But he's not. Her words, innocent dagger, pierced us all. That night, after her tears dried to dreams, Daniel and I sat on the fire escape, city pulse below. She's right, he said, voice gravel. We've papered over the grief with us, but it's still there. Grief work intensified. Family therapy. Emily drawing her feeling wheel. Colors for mommy's absence. Blue for sad. Gold for remember. We visited Sarah's grave in Westchester. Wildflowers in hand. Emily placing a painted rock. Love you always. Daniel broke then. Fully, sobs racking. Me holding him as earth drank his pain. I thought I had to be stone. For her. You're enough as you are. I whispered. We all are. Winter's end brought epiphany. Adoption seminar, not for a sibling, but affirming our triad. Emily's wish evolved. More adventures with my daddies. And we delivered. Road trip down Route 66 remnants. Neon motels and diner pies. Her journal filling with sketches of us against sunsets. Karma circled back. Caldwell's firm imploded in a larger scandal. Ethics probe swallowing the viper. Daniel's new practice boomed. Clients drawn to his authenticity. The lawyer who fought for his own. Spring 2026 dawned electric. Cherry petals confetti in breezes that whispered renewal. Our life, once a tightrope, now a sturdy bridge. Daniel's firm a beacon for marginalized families. My directorial debut greenlit. A feature on queer resilience. Emily's voiceover in the credits. Mornings blurred in domestic poetry. Her school lunch packed with notes. Be brave. Daniel's coffee kiss lingering. My laptop humming scripts beside his briefs. But stories demand tension. Ours crested in May. Emily's spring concert. A chorus of off-key anthems in the school auditorium. Her solo on This Land Is Your Land piping clear as birdsong. Pride swelled, but post-show, a parent approached. Clipped tone, eyes darting. Admirable your setup, but in this climate, careful. The election cycle churned. Anti-LGBTQ bills snaking through Albany. Rhetoric framing us as threats. Daniel bristled later. Over gelato cones melting in our hands. They're everywhere. Poisoning the well. Emily, oblivious, chased fireflies in the dusk-lit park. But her question pierced. Why do some kids say two dads is weird? Because scared people make up stories? I said, catching one in a jar, light pulsing like heartbeat. But ours is true. The undercurrent swelled. School emails about family values workshops. Daniel's clients facing custody battles echoing our past. He armored up, late nights drafting amicus briefs. Our bed a war zone of laptops and law tomes. We can't hide. I'd argue, massaging knots from his shoulders. That's surrender. I'm protecting. He'd snap, then soften, pulling me close. Us. June's Pride Month was our rebellion. Rainbow flags from the balcony, Emily marching in the parade, tiny sign. Love wins, always. Daniel and I flanking, hands clasped against cheers and jeers. A counter-protester's shout. Sickos corrupting kids. Rattled her, but she squeezed tighter. They're wrong, right, Lukey? Dead wrong, star. The kiss we shared at Stonewall, defiant, tear-streaked. Sealed it. Visibility our shield. Yet betrayal's echo resounded in July. A client crisis. A trans teen's parents suing for custody reversal, citing Daniel's lifestyle as influence. The irony choked, his own history weaponized. Depositions dredged Ryan's ghost. The ex testified remotely. Smug pixels on screen. Daniel's unstable. Always was widower drama, revolving sitters. Kid needs normalcy. The courtroom in Brooklyn Heights was a coliseum. Oak benches worn by injustices past. Daniel cross-examined. Voice steel. Normalcy? Or conformity? My daughter thrives with two loving parents. Gay, straight, doesn't define devotion. But Ryan's barbs landed. Tales twisted of our hasty engagement. My youthful indiscretions, from old social posts unearthed. I testified next, palms slick on the stand. Lucas Riley, Emily Hargrove's co-parent. The words empowered, detailing nights of fevers soothed, school plays cheered. Love isn't biology, it's presence. Emily waited outside with my mom, her drawing clutched. A family shield. The judge ruled in our client's favor, but the toll lingered. Daniel withdrawn, second-guessing every hug. What if they're right? Am I selfish, exposing her? August heat baked doubts. We escaped to the Cape, rented cottage on Nauset Beach, waves crashing like catharsis. Emily built sandcastles empires. Daniel body surfed, emerging salt-crusted and grinning. Bonfires at night, esmores sticky on fingers, stories swapped. Sarah's beach dances, my Irish granddad's fiddles. One eve, stars carpet overhead, Emily asleep in the hammock. Daniel turned to me. Marry me. For real this time. Not fear, but faith. Ring in pocket, simple gold, engraved home. I said yes amid surf's roar, sealing with salt lips. Fall anchored us. Wedding small, backyard affair in my mom's garden, asters blooming defiant. Vows exchanged under oak. In shadows and spotlights, I choose you. Emily ringbearer, scattering petals like blessings, her toast, recited solemn. To my daddies, who make the world bigger, post-honeymoon, weekend in the Berkshires, hikes and stargazing. The world intruded anew. Daniel's firm hit national news. Pro bono win challenging a state's conversion therapy ban. Him on CNN, tie straight, eyes fierce. Backlash flooded. Death threats scrawled on office doors. Emily's school lockdown drill triggering nightmares. One night, sirens wailing distant. She crawled into our bed. Are bad people coming? Daniel held her, voice rock. Not while we're breathing. But morning brought the gut punch. Anonymous email to the firm, photos, stolen from our wedding, doctored with slurs, sent to media. Pedo lawyers endangering kids. The betrayal? Internal, a junior associate, outed by IP traces, fleeing to rivals. Crisis mode. PR scramble, police reports. Emily shielded at my mom's. Daniel's rage was glacial. I built this for them, for us and its ash. We hunkered in Brooklyn, fortressing with board games and baking fails, but fracture lines showed. His insomnia returning, my pitches shelved for support. Climax shattered in November, election night eve. Polls dark, we gathered friends. Queer chorus of allies. At a dive bar in the village, TV's flickering doomsday. Emily with sitters, safe. As results trickled, losses stacking, a brawl erupted. Drunk hecklers slinging epithets, glass shattering. Daniel surged, fists clenched. I pulled him back, but the man lunged, epithet exploding. Faggot families ruining America. Chaos. Punches thrown, bar emptying. Daniel took a graze, lips split, blood blooming. But worse, the viral clip. Him defending. Me shielding Emily's absent shadow. Headlines twisted. Lawyer brawl. Activism or assault? Firm clients wavered, donors pulled. In the ER waiting room, stitches fresh. Daniel broke. This is it. We're done. Moving to Canada, neutral ground. His eyes, defeated, searched mine. No, I countered, gauze in hand. Running feeds them. We stand. Emily arrived via cab. My mom in tow. Her hug to Daniel's knee. My hero daddy. Don't go. Dawn broke gray, election losses tallied. But our resolve hardened. Daniel retracted the threat, channeling fury into a op-ed. Why we fight. For our daughters tomorrow. Published in the Times, it resonated, support pouring, firm stabilizing. Winter's grace. Holiday cards from clients, Emily's school play. Her as the wise tree, lines on acceptance. We fostered briefly, a shy boy, weekends only, teaching her family's expanse. New Year's, balcony toast. To enduring. 2027 unfurled like a banner of quiet triumphs. Snow melting to reveal resilient green. Daniel's op-ed birthed a non-profit arm to his firm, Hargrove Allies, litigating for family rights nationwide. His days a blur of strategy sessions and sanctuary stories. My film premiered at Tribeca. Foxfire Home, a mosaic of loss and love. Emily's cameo as the dreamer drawing tears and standing ovations. Critics hailed it a humane anthem for the unseen, but the dedication, for Daniel and our star, drew the deepest applause. Emily bloomed 8, gap-toothed grin filled, her world expanding. Soccer league in Riverside Park, where she'd score and dash to our sideline cheers, mud-streaked and luminous. Team hug, she'd demand, pulling us into huddles slick with grass. Yet maturity's edge sharpened. Questions about Sarah deepened, ushers in grief's next phase. We framed her letters to Mommy, sent via balloon on windy days, watching them soar like prayers. Tensions simmered low. A client loss in Texas. Conservative judge ruling against two-mom adoption. Riled Daniel, nights pacing with case files. How many more? He'd mutter, and I'd draw him to bed, mapping constellations on his back till sleep claimed him. My own crossroads. Hollywood offers, LA pilot season tempting. But roots held, our stories here, I'd affirm. Scripting sequels in our living room. Betrayal's final whisper came soft, insidious. Spring newsletter from Daniel's old firm, Caldwell's byline gloating promotions amid ethics reforms. No direct hit, but the subtext stung, vindication for their purge. Daniel deleted it, but doubt seeded. A rare argument over expansion, him eyeing DC satellite office, me fearing fracture. Growth isn't flight, I said. Rain pattering windows as Emily practiced flute downstairs. Squeaks like fledgling birds. But stagnation is death. His eyes, weary, held mine. For us, too. Emily interrupted, recital flyer waving. Play with me? All three. Her plea diffused, but the seed sprouted in summer. Internship offer for me in LA, 2 months scouting locations. Go, Daniel urged, masking ache. Chase the dream. Airport goodbye crushed. Emily's tears soaking my shirt. Don't forget Luna, our mutt now leggy teen. Daniel's kiss. Airport bustle blurring. Come back to us. California sun dazzled. Sets buzzing. But nights FaceTimed Emily's bedtime stories. Daniel's updates laced longing. A week in. Script tweak demanded extension. Guilt gnawed. Crisis peaked mid-July. Daniel's call at 3 a.m. Pacific. Voice frayed. Emily's hurt. Minor bike crash stitches. But she asks for you. Heart in throat. I booked red-eye. Landing to hospital lights harsh. Her bandaged knee propped. Grin defiant. Lukey. See my battle scar. Relief flooded. But Daniel's eyes. Shadowed. In the hall confessed. I panicked. Thought we'd lose her. Like Sarah's ghost. Ever vigilant. We healed tandem. Beach crutches for Emily. My arm his anchor. LA faded. I negotiated remote, returning eastbound. Home's not place. I told him on the flight, Emily dozing between. It's them. Fall harvest yielded grace. Harvest festival in the village, Emily's pumpkin carving contest win. A lopsided family face. Thanksgiving sprawled multi-gen. My mom's corned beef beside Daniel's lax. Toasts to mended circles. Holidays layered, Kwanzaa quinera from a client's gift. New Year's Eve under Times Square ball drop. Confetti like blessings. Climax's echo resolved in winter's hush. Emily's winter concert. Her duet with a shy classmate. Boy with 2 moms. On Lean on Me. Post-show, parents mingled warm, no whispers. But backstage, she pulled us aside. I told Tommy about Mommy. And how you both make it okay. Her wisdom, 8-year-old profound. Undid us. Tears in Daniel's eyes mine. That night, snow blanketing the city soft. We 3 bundled on the couch. It's a Wonderful Life flickering black and white. Emily, head on my lap, murmured as credits rolled. You're my George Bailey, Lukey, and Daddy's Clarence. Angels get it right. Daniel's hand squeezed mine over her curls, the moment crystallizing. Not perfection, but profound enough. We'd weathered storms, betrayals corporate and cruel, fears internal and inflicted, emerging not unscathed, but unbreakable. Love, in its raw American vein, wasn't fairy dust but forge fire, hammering vulnerabilities into vessel strong. Years would bring more, teen tempests, empty nests eventual, but foundation firm. Choices daily, presence unwavering. Daniel's firm a legacy. My film's voices amplified. Emily's light the lodestar. In Manhattan's ceaseless hum, we'd carved quiet revolution. A family, queer and whole, proving humanity's best in bonds chosen. As spring teased buds anew, we walked the high line, Emily skipping between, hands linked chain. "What's next?" she asked, skyline sprawling promise. "Us," Daniel said, kissing my temple. "Always," I echoed, and in her laughter, bells ringing true, we knew. The story, unfinished, was ours to author.